Hello and welcome to today's video. My name is Joseph. I hope everyone's doing well. So today I'm doing a bit of a coverage on something that was mentioned to me by a user called Carlson's. Talking about a system called Structs. Before I get into that though, real quick, massive thank you to you guys on the channel. You guys are all amazing. You have no clue. And another thank you to Carlson for pointing this function out to me. I'm just looking at the comment on my other screen here and I'm just going to have to say, I'm going to have to disagree with you, Carlson, around the functionalities. Structs are effectively the equivalent of shooting a fly with a bazooka comparatively to arrays. Arrays are dumb boxes. Structs, from what I've read, and I'm not an expert, and I'm not pretending to be, seem to be a lot more function built, which is a good thing. I'm going to show you guys now, I'm going to get into it and show you guys how this works. So I did a tutorial last week on arrays and multi-level arrays. This week I'm going to do a bit of a how to kind of use structs, kind of. I'm not an expert. I'm going to really highlight that. So you can see here I've got a bunch of information. Basically just different numbers I've stored, a string saying hello world, and I've got a sub-nested value here. So in my object here, which is so beautifully named object1, you'll see here, I'm not using an array, I'm using something a bit different, and this is called a struct. Structs, if I can say it right. Which, for example, these are stock standard numbers, there's nothing fancy about these. Oh, although that shouldn't be there, that is a mistake. Let's see if I break my code. Let me just quickly double check something here, people. Beautiful. So, what a struct is, so normally an array, we set an array volume, yada yada yada, it's a dumb bucket. Arrays can't do much more than store information. Structs are a bit different. So you can see here I've got a count value, and then I've got this weird thing called basic vars, which is just my dumb naming of things. So when we set up a struct, I'm going to have difficulty saying this for now, it's equal to, and then what we're doing here is we're setting a call volume. So this is like setting kind of like a function call from what I understand. And then within there, I can reference a bunch of other information. So for example, I've got number 00 is equal, well, and this is the thing, it changes. So we need to use the semicolon and I can define a value. Then I use a comma to separate. You can see here, I've got a number float plus, oh, sorry, not plus, colon count plus 10. So I'm going to add 10 to this value. How do I know it works? When I load it, my float value is 15, which means I know it's worked. So you can see here I've got a string, hello world. Again, pretty stock standard, and you can see it pings up. And then, interestingly enough, after reading documentation, I can nest multiple instances inside one another. And this is bringing me back scary memories of when I used to do some Flash programming where you could nest an array and an array and an array to make things work. But the big powerful thing here, and I haven't got them to work because I'm still learning about them, and if I get them to work properly, I will most likely put up a video about it. But you can execute functions inside these struct calls, which is where these are the equivalent of shooting a fly with a bazooka versus an array. Because an array is just doing a dumb thing, where this, you can take a function call and then add to it dynamically within the call. And that's the big difference between the two systems. These are super cool. You can actually do some really powerful things from what I'm seeing. I've seen people do things, I've looked at the examples because there's not a lot of people that talk about them. So if I go to Sprite here, for example, and you're going to get some of the classic editing video stuff I used to do. If I draw a, actually let's not choose red's a bit. If I do a happy face, like so, nothing too complicated, and come back up in here, I can go within my subcall, for example. What am I going to call it? I'm going to call it Sprite. And then colon, and then I can go Sprite 1. Oops. Like so. Now, what's super important here, so these things are really sensitive. You need to add that comma, but the last function call doesn't need the comma. And I'm going to do the one other unprecedented thing here, and I'm going to link the documentation for you guys too. So if I go here and I go draw sprite, and I'm just using the sprite as the example here. Normally, I'd just go reference the sprite call in there. But using this function, I can take the value like this, and I can call the sprite in this manner. I'm just going to go 0, I'm going to go x, y, close bracket, colon. Did I stuff it up? Yes, I did. Like so. So that, in theory, should now call my smiley face. So you can see it's quite powerful in what you can actually store in here. And you can there's a lot of good functionality versus an array where, for an example, in an array, I would have to shuffle through and find what I'm looking for, where this, I can quite literally do function calls. Where I think this might fall down, and I'm not an expert, and I'm going to keep saying that, is I still don't get how I can do a dynamic function call through the system. And I'm going to do more reading on that and work out if that's possible. But that's where the major differences are. This has the ability to function call and actually run internalized codes, where an array doesn't really have that capability until it's found in the shuffle and then you execute it in a weird manner. So, a big thank you to Colston for pointing this one out to me. I'm going to put this up onto the Google Drive. Jump onto the Discord if you guys feel like it. And I am going to link the documentation in the description. Go through the documentation yourself. This is the official Gamemaker Studio 2 manual documentation I used to develop this, just to kind of show you guys what I'm doing. Like I said, not an expert. Really cool functionality. I couldn't say that arrays and these are the same. They're totally different functions from what I can see so far. But both have their valid uses in Gamemaker. And yeah, that would be the end of the tutorial. Big thank you to everyone. Big thank you to Colston for pointing it out to me. And I will talk to you guys next time. See you later.